A federal judge dismissed the gun case against Hunter Biden after President Joe Biden, his father, issued a sweeping pardon. Biden pardoned Hunter, was convicted of tax evasion and federal gun charges. Hunter's sentencing was set to take place in a couple of weeks. Despite the repeated White House assurances that the president had no intentions of pardoning his son, the president announced Sunday evening that he had pardoned him. In the statement, he said, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchase, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. And that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecutions. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I've followed a single principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision." A sweeping pardon covers Hunter's convictions in 2 cases in Delaware and California and any other, quote, offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. Okay, so predictably, Republicans lost their shit. I mean, they were just acting a fool. Oh my God, you had Scott Jennings from CNN talking about this administration has lied more than any other. You mean compared to the fool who you supported again and the 30,000 plus lies he told in those 4 years? Really? Then you have all of these people, including some Democrats. They, of course, oh my goodness, this is wrong, it's not right, all those different things. Let's keep in mind, Donald Trump pardoned Mike Flynn. He pardoned Paul Manafort, his campaign manager. Flynn lied to the FBI. Manafort was taking money from foreign entities. Then there was Roger Stone, who's just across the board a liar and a thief. Let's see. He also pardoned Charles Kushner. Who's Charles Kushner? The father of his son-in-law. What did he do? Well, was it tax evasion? Oh, what he also did was he hired a prostitute to sleep with his sister's husband, had it recorded, and sent the video to his sister because he was pissed that his brother-in-law cooperated with fellow authorities who were investigating him. Homeboy didn't want to get hit with obstruction of justice, so he cooperated. Oh, that same Charles Kushner, Trump just appointed the United States ambassador to France. Oh, since we're talking about, this is nepotism, and the one that cracked me, I'm gonna get to this in a sec, but the one with the nepotism, it's like, oh, this is just wrong. It's nepotism. Okay. Are we gonna hear anything from any Republican about, Jared Kushner getting $2 billion from the Saudis after leaving the White House? You don't think that deal was cut beforehand? Now, I know there's some people who are saying that, Roland, it doesn't matter. All of that is wrong. It doesn't matter. It's unfair because Biden kept telling us he was never going to pardon him. Okay, if you actually believe that, you're crazy. You're crazy. Believing Biden was never going to pardon Hunter, it's like believing that Donald Trump supports ethics in government. I never for a second thought that Biden was not going to pardon his son. He always was. And if you had presidential pardon power, you would have done the same. So let me pivot now to these. But hold on, before I pivot to that, let me also say this. I really wish Meghan McCain would shut the hell up. For somebody who is a nepotism queen, who literally should have tattooed on her forehead, my father, my father, my father, my father, my father. That's how Meghan McCain is even known by the public. Meghan McCain has no discernible skill set whatsoever. She's gotten every single media job. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, I think she's at CNN, ABC, all these jobs, radio show, these other networks she worked for, because your last name is McCain and John McCain was your father. This idiot literally put this tweet out. No one is above the law except the president's Nepo baby is a hell of a parting message for Democrats. You literally are the queen of nepotism. So shut the hell up, Meghan. Jeez. So let me deal with the hypocrites. The Republicans say, oh, I don't want to hear anyone complain what Trump does. The same guy who promised to pardon all January 6th insurrectionists, and America say, yeah, we're good. This notion that what Biden did somehow is going to pave the way for Trump to abuse the pardon system when we know that they were selling pardons. We have Rudy Giuliani on record trying to hit somebody up for $2 million for pardons. They were selling pardons. So can we please stop this nonsense about, oh my God, because Biden did this, this is somehow going to embolden Trump. That thug Trump was always going to abuse pardons like he did before. So let me deal with these weak ass, impotent, sorry, pathetic, trifling ass Democrats. Seriously, shut the hell up. This is not right, this is not who we are. Yeah. President Bill Clinton, didn't he pardon his brother-in-law? Didn't Jimmy Carter pardon his brother? Haven't they pardoned donors and other people? So this notion that, oh my God, this is just going to be the end of us. No, it's not. You've always had controversial pardons, and you always will. But the thing that gets me the most is, it's also how these Democrats want to act as if their counterparts wouldn't do the same. This is why I always say Democrats have no understanding of how to win. They have no idea how to win. You want to hear a whiner? How about West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin? Okay, how long has he been on the take from coal companies? Listen to this.
As a father, I don't know of a father that wouldn't have done the same thing. What I would have done differently, and my recommendation as a counsel would have been, why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges and make it, it'd have gone down a lot more balanced, if you will. I'm just saying, wipe them out.
What do you think this does for his legacy?
I don't know. From that standpoint, it makes it difficult.
So last night, Chris Cuomo and Stephen A. Smith said the exact same thing, pardon Trump. Listen to this bullshit.
You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you,
Sure.
everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump.
You know something? Honestly,
I would say
honestly,
this
as
has gotta
crazy as this
stop.
sounds, Chris,
I'd pardon.
Chris, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know what? You're the Democrats. You lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll probably get off from having to deal with all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be. You know, he's going to be the presidency for 4 years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. You know, Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. You know, to say he didn't let that happen. Why? Because it was for the good of the country. The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this stuff, but they don't do what they say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for Washington, D.C., because we know they're full of it most of the time. And today was the latest example of that.
All right, so listen, Chris and Stephen A, nice guys. But I'm sorry, Stephen A, what he just said is, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. No, I'm just being straight up. I just got to call it like I see it. First of all, Al Gore could not have fought the hanging Chad case because the Supreme Court ruled. They ruled. The Supreme Court, Stephen A, ordered the stopping of the counting in Florida. That was it. You can't go higher than the Supreme Court. So that's just simply not true. Then when you talk about Gerald Ford, that was one of the reasons why Gerald Ford couldn't beat Jimmy Carter, because people were pissed off that he gave Nixon a pardon. Yep. Go back and check. Now, there are consequences to the good of the nation. That's exactly what happened. People wanted wanted Richard Nixon to pay for his crimes. And by Gerald Ford giving him a pardon, guess what? That immediately doomed him from winning in 1976. But let me remind Stephen A, Chris Cuomo, Joe Manchin of several different things. Donald Trump, Stephen A said 12 cases have been dropped. No, they haven't. The Georgia case hasn't been dropped. The New York cases have not been dropped. Okay? They've been postponed. Not dropped. The only reason the federal cases were dropped, and he asked for it to be done with prejudice, meaning it can be reinstated once Trump leaves. So we need to get facts straight here as to what happened. So this is precisely why Biden should never give Trump a pardon. And this is for Stephen A, Chris Cuomo, Joe Manchin, and anybody else. First and foremost, Donald Trump became the first occupant of the White House in American history to try to overturn the results of an election. That is the second most evil thing someone can do other than commit treason against the United States. In fact, if an individual sold U.S. secrets to China or Russia or some other country, what Trump did is actually even greater than what they did, because he was in the Oval Office. He literally tried to weaponize the nation to overthrow a democratically elected president. You don't get higher than that. That's one. Two, he was ordered to return classified documents. He said no. He defied his own attorneys in moving those classified documents. He enlisted support of his Mar-a-Lago staffers to move the documents and lied to his own attorneys about those documents. So no, Stephen A., no Chris Cuomo, no Joe Manchin or anyone else, hell no, you don't pardon Trump for what he did. You cannot compare the crimes that Donald Trump committed to what Hunter Biden did by filling out a form and evading taxes. Nah, you don't compare the two. And this nonsense about, oh, we've got to move on from this. How about this, Stephen A., Chris Cuomo, Joe Manchin? If the man would stop breaking laws, he wouldn't get prosecuted. Did he pimp out and misuse his charitable foundation? Yes. That's why it was ordered closed. Did he absolutely lie about the value of his own properties? Yes. That's why he was ordered to pay in the case of that Letitia James had against him, the civil case. Did he conceal payments to a porn star in order not to show them on FEC reports? Yes, 34 counts, he was found guilty. So can we please stop this? Oh, by the way, there was a negotiated deal with Hunter Biden. They were misdemeanors. You cannot compare a misdemeanor to felonies. Also, Hunter Biden, regular Joe citizen, compared to the occupant of the White House. There is no comparison between those two. But since we're on a pardon conversation, it's time for President Joe Biden, between now December 3rd and 11:59 a.m. on January 20th, to wake up and step the hell up. I'm waiting for him, and he should be partnering Marilyn Mosby for that BS conviction she got in Baltimore. He should give a pardon to former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. and his former wife Sandy Jackson. Why not? They served their time in prison. Give them a pardon. It can restore their law license. They can move on. There are a number of people, drug offenses should be pardoned. How about this here? There have been in 60 years, there were 3 federal executions. Donald Trump killed 13 people in 6 months. How about this, Joe? How about you commute all federal death penalty sentences to simply life in prison without parole? You can do that. As it stands right now, based upon the commutations and pardons that Biden has issued so far, he's going to be down as low as Nixon. He's not even close to where Obama was. Obama was far ahead of the 10 previous presidents. So, Biden, you should be doing a hell of a lot more with your pardon power beyond your son. But one person who no way in hell should get one of those is that asshole Donald J. Trump. Let's go to my panel. Joy, I want to start with you. You can take off on any one of those areas I just talked about.
Yeah, like you, I have a list of individuals and of categories that the Biden administration in these final days should consider. And I'm sure they have stacks of them on the desk and have staff who are going through them. And one of which I believe you covered on the show before is also pardoning posthumously Garvey. And that is something that has been in conversation in Black community and certainly been in conversation over the last few days following the news of Biden pardoning his son. And I would agree with you. I think definitely you cannot compare what the charges was, the misdemeanor charges of Hunter Biden to that of the former president. And one of also which not only, as you mentioned, the negotiated deal real, but also someone taking responsibility for their part in moving things forward. And, I didn't believe he was going to pardon him, but I can certainly understand, given the circumstances that he believed have changed, making a different decision. I think at the beginning he shouldn't have said, "I absolutely won't." He should have just said, "We'll see." But we're past that now. But I do think there are a long list, and as you mentioned, he can catch up to Obama by doing a whole host of categories, including the federal marijuana charges, which I believe was done before, as well as some other individuals that the administration can go through. And I have hope that over the next couple of weeks, we'll begin to see more of that.
Larry,
I would also add,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, just before I forget. This point of how this will sully his legacy, I don't see that as an issue. Certainly, that is something that corporate media has taken on, because I've seen the headlines about that, and it seems everybody is going off of the same talking points regarding that. But in talking to, just from my cab driver to people on the street, everybody is like, I would have done it a long time ago, right? So it's not like there is this like nationwide consciousness that, people are despondent about the Biden administration and about Biden specifically for doing this. Obviously, this is anecdotal, but there is no one clamoring except for, as you mentioned, people on the Hill or others who are discussing it as a talking point. But everybody else would do the same.
Harry, listen, I don't know a lot of people out there, and literally I have not had a ton of people emailing me, texting me going, man, it's a damn shame he get that pardon to Hunter Biden. Like, nobody.
Yeah, no, that's just real talk. So there are a couple things here, because this is an interesting issue for me. There's a lot of lazy analysis from the media, and it's not just the last few days, this topic, but generally the last several years. Once there's a narrative that sticks, whether it's this or the president, Biden is too old, once it sticks, they just run with it for several days and several weeks. And we've seen a ridiculous number of op-eds on this topic already. But I want people to have the same energy when it comes to the January 6th insurrectionists, when they get pardoned, because that's coming. So I want you to make sure we have the same level of scrutiny in the next couple of months when we see that happen. The other thing is, Roland, as it relates to what President Biden did, as a father, I understand. I do want to highlight what the Locks talked about: money, power, and respect, right? So we do have to talk about the proximity in terms of closeness to power. And so if you look at the history of some of the individuals, presidents you highlighted, family members get pardons. And once again, that's the proximity to power. So I also agree with Leader Jeffries, who I saw came out with a statement within the last hour, to what Joy talked about in terms of we need to also we need to have the same energy as it relates to those non-violent drug offenses, who are disproportionately Black folks. So I would expect President Biden to use that pen to address some of these disparities we see in terms of the way Black folks are, spend time incarcerated because of the way these policies are driven, and then in the way they're implemented as it relates to negatively impacting the Black community. I think the last point about this is that it's going to be a long 4 years because if we're so focused on something like this that 99.9% of people would have done, then I'm curious, like I said, to see what the narrative is regarding to some of the pardons we will see over the next 4 years. What I'm quite sure will be outrageous, but many people will say, will pivot to, well, what about President Biden, what he did, pardoning his son? And it's generally, I think this speaks to a larger problem in terms of narrative, not only the media, but how a system, and look, we talked about this, I'm a former congressional staffer, how the system is just broken. And we saw that a few weeks ago with the most recent election. And that overall, we're in for a long 4 years, as I said a few minutes ago. And I want people to keep the same energy over the next 4 years for some of the really outrageous things we're going to see.
Mustafa.
It goes back to what I've shared before with my grandma's quote, you know, you have power unless you give it away. So if you've got power, you got to use it, because we already know when Donald Trump was in office, what was it, 237 clemencies, 94 commutations, and 143 pardons. So he had no problem in using that power in that moment. So, you know, President Biden now has the opportunity to do some good before he leaves with a little less than 6 weeks to go. So, you know, use your power to make sure, as you said, Sister Mosby, finally get some justice. Make sure that the folks who are part of that First Step Act of 2018 that didn't capture all those folks, you know, who are nonviolent offenses, make sure that they finally get a chance to breathe some fresh air and be free. So use your power. Stop being scared and do what you feel in your heart is the right thing to do, and dole out some justice.
Well, it's just a trip listening to, especially a lot of these media people. I mean, Nate Silver. Oh my God! I will never vote Democrat after this. Shut your punk ass up. I mean, like literally, I wish these white media people would just shut up. I mean, Chuck Todd and Chris Liliza, whatever the hell his name is, they're like, Biden running and these things happen. They just, first of all, they sound like a bunch of whiny ass people, okay, who are losing their shit. Does anybody remember a guy named Mark Rich? A rich dude who was the ex-husband of a big-time Democratic donor, and Bill Clinton pardoned him? I'm sorry, do you hear anybody saying, ooh, the legacy of Bill Clinton was totally sullied because of that one pardon? You can't even ask most people, if you said Mark Rich, they would think that's a character from a movie. That's how silly these Beltway people are. And I'm telling you, they get on my damn nerves. But yeah, they'll be justifying a bunch of actions of Trump. Well, see, where you go, because Biden did it. No. Let me remind people, Trump did some foul shit before Biden became president. So you can't act like it's Biden's fault. So I didn't want to hear all that whining and complaining.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use, next generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
If y'all want to see some stupidity, Senate GOP leader, actually he's a minority leader, Mitch McConnell, he's not happy about two federal judges reversing their announced retirements after Trump won. McConnell criticized the pair of, quote, partisan Democrat district judges who plan to unretire after, quote, the American people voted to fire Democrats last month. Listen to this SOB.
Just before Thanksgiving, the Senate reached a deal on judicial nominees. Republicans would forego our available procedural roadblocks on the remaining nominations to district courts, which have the votes to be confirmed. In exchange, the Democratic leader wouldn't bring any of the remaining nominations to circuit courts to the floor because they don't have the votes to be confirmed. As a result, President Biden is getting around a dozen more district judges, and the next president will get 4 more circuits to fill. At least, I expect he will. We've already seen two partisan Democrat district judges, quote, unretire, end quote, after the American people voted to fire Democrats last month. This is noteworthy. Looking to our history, only two judges have ever unretired after a presidential election. One Democrat in 2004 and one Republican in 2009. But now, in just a matter of weeks, Democrats have already met that all-time record. It's hard to conclude that this is anything other than open partisanship. They roll the dice that a Democrat could replace them, and now he won't. They're changing their plans to keep a Republican from doing it. It's a brazen admission, and the incoming administration would be wise to explore all available recusal options with these judges, because it's clear now that they have a political finger on the scale. This sort of partisan behavior undermines the integrity of the judiciary. It exposes bold Democrat blue where there should only be black robes.
Of all sons of bitches, to try to lecture about history in the federal bench, this the same asshole who kept a Supreme Court seat open for 10 months when Scalia died to prevent President Obama from appointing a Supreme. He appointed Garland. I despise it. I thought it was stupid. I said he should have appointed a black woman.
No question.
But he chose not to. They said, we ain't even giving you a hearing. We ain't even gonna give you a hearing. Then, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, he rushes through in the middle of a presidential election after lecturing everybody, well, we should let the voters decide in November when it came to Garland, rushed Amy Coney Barrett through because they knew Trump was going to lose to Biden. This is the same man who blocked 100 judges from being appointed by Obama, and that's how Trump was able to appoint 234, 237. 100 of those were supposed to be under Obama. And then now, your old crypt-keeping ass wants to stand here and complain, well, they're not right, they're not fair, this is not right, these judges decide to unretire. They got that right. I've seen athletes announce retirements and say, I'm going to keep playing. I've seen politicians like Susan Collins announce, I'm only going to run for 2 terms. Her ass been there damn near 30 years. We see it all the time. Oh, but now the crypt keeper. Mitch McConnell's upset because 2 judges, they broke the all-time record. We've only had this happen twice before in history. Once in 2004 by a Democrat, and once in 2009 by a Republican. So now 2 judges do it. You know what? I hope every Democratic judge that said they was going to retire don't retire. Okay, but shall we remind y'all what happened when Anthony Kennedy? When the deal he cut, he stepped down. Oh, I'll step down if y'all appoint my chosen successor. That was Brett Kavanaugh. This is some bullshit, Rebecca. He the last person I want to hear from talking about judges and deals and stuff like that.
I mean, listening to him, I guess his factory reset that he did on camera last year didn't take. Here's the thing. We really need Dick Durbin to go ahead and remove those blue slips.
He won't.
If Mitch McConnell is going to say what he says, then you know what? give it to him. If he thinks that Democrats are being partisan around the judiciary, then do it. Remove the blue slips, because we know right now that means that what that means for viewers is that it would just go to regular order, where it is a simple majority vote up and down whether or not this person is going to become a judge. I think the rules of the Senate right now just says it's going to be 2 hours of debate. There can't be any filibuster, so it doesn't require 60 judges. So at that point, go ahead and run the numbers up. We have about 30 days until the next Congress gets sworn in. We have about 6 weeks until the next president gets sworn in. So run up the numbers.
Robert?
Everybody keeps talking about Gucci Mane came back from prison's a clone. That's a clone of Mitch McConnell. The real Mitch McConnell been dead for 10 years. That's a clone. Because there's no way that somebody who held up that many judges, who held up Merrick Garland, who literally said the era of bipartisanship is over. He said that almost 10 years ago. So that Mitch McConnell clearly is dead, and that is either a clone or that's one of those Elon robots. Because there's no way you can be that brazenly hypocritical. There's no way that you can look at the American people in the eye and attempt to have any moral authority. When one day you're saying that you are completely against Trump and you need to impeach him, we need to let the judicial system handle this, and then next thing you know, you're saying, well, the judicial system can't handle this because he's the president. These people are playing by a different set of rules. I think we have to understand the kids. Close your ears. There's no benefit to doing the right thing. Sometimes you just got to play bully ball. Brother. Sometimes you just got to get in there like a power forward in the 90s. None of this Steph Curry shooting threes. We're talking about Ewing. We're talking about Larry Johnson. You got to throw.
Putting your butt on that ass and backing them down.
Yeah, we can't be these prissy three-point shooters no more, just trying to draw contact and get fouled. We got to get in the paint. Because you got these people who are throwing around alternative facts, and they are making them stick because they own the algorithm. And we're still sitting here like, well, that's just hypocritical. I can't believe the gentleman from Kentucky would say such a thing, and then get your ass kicked.
No question.
Play bully ball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I thought maybe the video was still running, but I realized you stopped it because, he does tend to freeze, as you say, that's the reason. But I mean, we saw in this week, 2 federal judges were approved, one in California and one in Massachusetts. But Schumer, to the point that you make on the blue slips, which he's not going to do, Schumer and them made a deal. So there are 4, and you heard the Crypt Keeper talk about it. There are 4 circuit level judges that they agreed not to advance in order to get these 2 district level judges. The Democratic Party is not.
Actually, I think it was 12 district judges.
The districts, right? I think and 2 of them got appointed this week, right? Right. In exchange for the money ball, right? Which is, of course, the circuit courts.
And appeal, right?
Right. I mean, if this project continues, and again, it's not at all clear that it is. Not in the current form, because states' rights works both ways. Mm-hmm. So as they're Trump-proofing in California and Maryland and places like that, as North Carolina can be swept, as you say, and Georgia, this is a cold civil war that's going to heat up over the next 4 years. But when it comes to the federal bench, it's very clear. This is more than just law making and lawfare. This is about the concept of a nation and the idea of fairness. As you say, once it's broken, it's not going to be put back together. This man, who is dissembling toward the same night that awaits us all, is responsible more than anybody else in the Senate for ripping up the floorboards of this funky criminal enterprise. And the only thing that was holding it together was the idea that there is some level of fairness that can be imposed. That's why you see a Kristen Clark, people say, well, like her or not like her, this is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
There's no such thing as this is wrong with these people. And what they're going to find out is none of us ever believed that in the first place. And the only thing keeping us from your ass was the idea that it could be something different. But I think this time when they wreck it, we ain't gonna worry about 100 years from now. Ain't gonna be in the United States in 100 years. It might not be one in 50.
And in January, the Republicans will have a 53-47 majority in the United States Senate. Luckily, we won't have those turncoats, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. They'll be gone. But the reality is that, you're right, Dick Durbin has abided by the blue slip. But let me also remind people, Mitch McConnell, there was a Democratic senator and a Republican senator.
That's right.
That did not want a judge picked. That was in Wisconsin.
That's right.
Rob Johnson and Tammy Baldwin.
That's right.
He was like, I don't give a damn. We put them on the bench.
That's right.
He ignored the blue slip.
That's right.
But again, Democrats want to play by the rules because if we don't, they gonna do. This is what Democrats say. If we don't do, if we do this, then when they get power, they gonna do it. They've already shown you they're going to do it.
Right.
They've already shown you they're going to do it.
This is the only way I can describe it. The Democratic Party seems to be that kid who's in the library, they're reading, they're working hard, they're playing by all the rules. And then you look on Instagram, and your cousin who I thought is over in Dubai on a jet ski.
Yikes.
I'm talking about twerking. I mean, they're having a good time, having a hot girl summer. So what do you want to do? You want to keep working hard and losing? Or do you want to do what the winning team is doing and actually throw some elbows and win? There's moral high ground ain't getting us nowhere.
Well, that's why I could not help but laugh when Charlemagne was on The View today, and they were talking about, he felt that, Democrats, if you're going to be able to have the moral high ground, why did Biden do this? And I was sitting here like, I'm sorry, we literally have somebody right now who will lie to our face.
Right.
Donald Trump, literally. Donald Trump, exactly. Right.
Exactly.
Donald Trump
lies too.
Donald Trump literally sat there. I don't know nothing about Project 2025. I ain't the point. I don't want to know about it. And all these media people like, well, see, he said he didn't know anything about it. And what did he do? He appointed everybody in Project 2025 to his administration. And it's like, y'all fell for it? So all these folks are mad. They mad at Biden, talking about, he shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it. If Biden did not say, I'm not going to pardon Hunter, you know what would have happened? Every day, they would have asked him, you going to pardon Hunter, every single day. So everybody, I knew the moment his ass said, ain't pardoned, Hunter's kind of like, Hunter gonna get pardoned. I don't know why we, I don't even know why we.
It's his kid. Why wouldn't he pardon his son?
Right, but it goes to show you. So all these people. Then I think one of Charlemagne's points was like, Democrats want to have the moral high ground. Actually, if you look at on most things, they do operate from a higher moral high ground than Republicans do.
Well, think about it this way.
Right.
Look,
that higher ground.
Think about it this way.
So that's why I say, when Michelle Obama said they go low, we go high. No.
Look,
bust their ass lower.
Perfect example. Justin Fairfax, career ruined by fake allegations. Al Franken,
and now
career
the person's
ruined.
running.
Yeah, career ruined by a photo that was taken.
When that allegation dropped against Justin Fairfax, literally 15 seconds after the story, Democrats were posting, he got to step down. People like Terry McAuliffe and others, I think Tim Kaine and others, he got to resign. You're thinking about Al Franken. Al Franken took a photo. He took a photo. What'd you say? Say it again.
And the black person that Terry McAuliffe used to throw that stone at Justin is now running next year in Virginia. And his campaign manager is McAuliffe's daughter.
There it is.
What got me was Al Franken. Al Franken is forced to resign for taking a picture of a joke. Right now, you got Peter Hegseth.
Come on.
Okay.
Who's Matt Gaetz?
Whose mama. Then his mama go on Fox News today, blasting New York Times for printing my letter. What? Your ass wrote it.
You wrote that.
How you mad? Because you wrote your son a letter calling him out for being abusive towards women, and then you want to gaslight us.
Your son ain't ish.
Just think about this for a second, though. As a Democrat, your career's over if you take a picture that's wrong. RFK admitted to raping a nanny. Donald Trump was found liable.
No, you can't move on. Okay, the nanny. His wife killed herself after reading his diaries of his numerous affairs, 30, 40, whatever. The man cut the damn head off of a whale.
He tried to eat a bear.
He got a worm in his head.
Funny.
Donald Trump over here, I cracked up with that Indian dumbass Scott Jennings. Matter of fact, I just saw the video. Scott Jennings on CNN. Well, it was just, it wasn't called for them for the New York Times to report a private letter. And then the Smart responded, but y'all had Hunter Biden's junk on billboards. So it's like, like they sitting here like, this isn't right. This is.
Peter Navarro.
Come on, man.
Peter Navarro left prison, went to the RNC the next day after he left prison, and is now in the cabinet. And we are ending people's careers over pictures from 10 years ago.
Right. So the reality is, Democrats, and this is the whole deal. Democrats have been playing by the rules.
Yes.
Here's the deal.
First rule,
okay,
Fight Club.
let me just be real clear. I don't want to hear no more of this bullshit. If America decided to vote for a man who was a massive liar, who is a massive liar, who cheated on his taxes, who had his foundation shut down, who overvalued his businesses, who got convicted on 34 felonies, who was found guilty of sexual assault in a civil trial, and then kept defaming the woman. The man slept with a porn star, cheated on both wives, lied, got 4-5 baby mamas, all this sort of stuff. We can go down the line. Led an insurrection, and America said, oh, no, we good. You can still be president. Damn your rules.
Right.
This is where all bets are off. Don't come at me with no bullshit. So I don't want to hear nothing about Peter Hegseth. Where are y'all conservative evangelicals? Where y'all at? Where y'all at?
The Lord is
and then,
changing.
matter of fact, Eric Erickson, a conservative Republican from Georgia, he goes, well, everyone's a sinner. And that was 7 years ago. That was 7 years ago. He gave his life to God. Things have turned around, or whatever the hell. But now Peg said, promising senators, if I'm confirmed, I'm not gonna have a drink. Say no.
That's not how being a drunk works, though. I'm just like
say, Robert.
I have done a lot.
Not a drunk. Why are you promising not to drink?
I've done a lot of DUI cases in my legal career. Over 16 years, I've done DUI trials. Nobody just says, "Hey, I promise I'm not drinking no more," and then the judge just lets you leave. Like, no, that's not. It is a disease. You need medical treatment. So if he's going to come forward and say, "Look, I have a very severe drinking problem that I'm seeking treatment for, and I will do it while being a defense secretary," that's one thing. But it's like, "Hey, look, man, I promise I won't get drunk in front of y'all anymore." It's a level of ridiculousness that can't be quantified.
And you also, we're not going to put you in charge of the world's
nuclear weapons.
most lethal military.
But we know what's going to happen. He's not going to get confirmed. Instead, Trump is going to go state by state. He's going to take all these Republican governors. And now the Democratic Party is going to have to figure out, okay, what do we do when we have all these vacancies of all these Republican governors? What's going to happen? Is the DGA prepared to now fight state by state?
Yep.
Because different states have different rules on temporary appointees, who gets to ascend into that gubernatorial seat, or whether or not there's a special election. So there is a real opportunity here if you have actual strategy at the DNC and at the DGA. And so far, I'm not seeing any indication that there's going to be strategy, because Trump is going to have to go get governors.
Well, I don't want to hear none of these more high ground people run their damn mouths because it ain't going to fly.
Jeffrey Toobin is on.
Oh yeah, he needs to sit his ass down.
Page of the New York Times saying that Biden just disgraced the office by pardoning. So this is the same Jeffrey Toobin. Y'all lost y'all dick.
Really, Jeffrey Toobin,
brother. Can you look?
Really, Jeffrey Toobin.
This is why you have to have
Jeffrey Toobin, who was masturbating on a Zoom,
disgracing. Are you serious? Look, that's why, and God knows I still
like the boy wasn't even smart enough to click stop camera.
I mean, come on.
But I mean, he was waiting the whole time they were talking. Man, I can't wait for this thing to be over.
Wait, and he wasn't even smart enough to do this here.
Whoa, boy.
Let me show y'all. There's a camera on the iPad. If you do this, they can't see.
They can't see.
No, but right. So we ain't listen to your ass.
Nobody. But this we got this platform, man. I mean, you can't listen to none of these people.
But here's the problem with the whole moral high ground argument. For those who understand tactical war, the high ground is supposed to be the strategic place that you go, and no one's supposed to lose when you're up on the high ground. So all this moral high ground, it's a fake high ground. It's not really a high ground. It is what white supremacy tells us in this country what polite society should do. And so you should toe the line. You should not ruffle feathers. It's not an actual morality and the moral high ground that we're here.
Well, and it's also driven by media. And just like the media will sit here and badger Vice President Kamala Harris about why she appoint a Republican to her cabinet. But you don't hear, I'm sorry, have you heard any of them badger Trump?
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
I saw this and I said, y'all got to be kidding me. But this goes to show, Mika and Joe are so scared of Donald Trump. They are so scared.
What does he have in them?
Hey, he got text messages or whatever, pictures. I don't know. Watch this here. Watch this here. Watch this, y'all. Okay, listen to this. Turn it up. Listen to this.
It's right.
David, I'll start with you on this. What's your sense of where the Heggs pick is headed here?
Well, just given what one sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. So that's alarming. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush nominated John Tower, senator from Texas, for Secretary of Defense. Now, Tower was a very considerable person, a real defense intellectual, someone who deeply understood defense, unlike...
Right, so because of that comment, if you too drunk Fox News, that means you drunk. Mika literally, y'all, came back on the air and she said later in the program, hold up, they literally apologized for his comment. Wow. Let me get it queued up here. I'm trying to get it queued up for y'all. And again, it goes to show you, okay, play it. Come on now. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, no, I got the audio up. It's right here. It's up. God, that's on. The audio's up. All right, well, the audio's up. So Mika said, before we go to break, a little earlier in this block, there was a comment made about Fox News in our coverage about Pete Hegseth and the growing number of allegations about his behavior over the years and possible addiction to alcohol or issues with alcohol. The comment was a little too flippant for this moment that we are in. What? We just want to make that comment as well. We want to make that clear. We have differences in coverage with Fox News, and that's a good debate that we should have often. But right now, I just want to say there are a lot of good people who work at Fox News who care about Pete Hegseth, and we'll want to leave it at that.
What? But now you know what you just did, though. More people now know she made that comment than when she made it, because ain't nobody watching MSNBC anymore. Not more than Joe.
It really does feel like paper. It really does.
But what does it say? What does it say? That you gonna apologize for Fox News, dog, y'all, all day.
No, that's what you said.
Aired an entire segment on MSNBC supporting chemical castration for children and being part of this cabal that wants to mutilate the genitals of teens, but saying that somebody who says that they're going to stop drinking is drinking too much apparently has crossed the line.
And doing it with the Republicans, because John Tower was all those things and a stone cold drunk, which is why he couldn't be converted.
Which is why his own colleagues said, now play it.
Exactly.
Rebecca, go ahead.
Exactly.
This is why you need to support the Black Star Network.
No question.
Because over the next 4 years, if you actually want quality information, and yes, we offer color commentary, but if you want people who are actually talking about issues that impact you, impact your real life, then, you're going to have to tune in to those platforms that's delivering that information. What's unfortunate, we're seeing a lot of the corporate media, unfortunately, we're seeing that they're already showing, just like some of the corporations are backing down from diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're all falling down on the knee and they're getting ready to kiss the ring. And so you have to understand, as you're getting information over the next 4 years, you're going to have to use a lot of critical thinking and also making sure that you're qualifying where you're getting your information.
Let me be real clear, y'all. I just want to be as clear as I possibly can. We ain't kissing no Trump MAGA ass.
Come on now.
We ain't kissing no ring. We ain't bowing down to nobody. I told y'all what happened when he had a meeting with the TV anchors and I was invited to it. And they invited me to 3 of them. I made 2 of them. Biden people never invited me to 1. Just saying. So Trump walks in. Normally when the president, I don't call him the president. The president walks in, everybody stands up, they move to him. Everybody moved to him. I like that Simpsons meme. I fell backwards. So I was standing there and I was sitting there going, I was like, well, I ain't gonna call his ass Mr. President because he ain't got no respect for the office, so I can't call him President Trump. Not gonna happen. Then I was like, I can't call his ass Mr. Trump. So I'm like, damn, what I'm gonna say when he. So he's shaking everybody's hand, and he get to me, he stick his hand out. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. I went, hi.
Damn.
That was it.
You didn't even touch it.
That was it. I wasn't about to sit here and call him by no title because he didn't have any respect for the office. So I'm not gonna call you by the title of the office. I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, unlike Joe and Mika and Morning Joe, we ain't kissing no Trump ass. I ain't going to Mar-a-Lago. We ain't sitting down. He gonna be talking to Kristen Welker. We already know how that interview is gonna go. He gonna run over her like a freight train.
No question.
But just as Rebecca said, if y'all want honest conversation about the truth, about what these yahoos are gonna do 2 blocks from us, I'm telling you right now, when they come in here with their carnage, somebody has to speak truth about what they are doing, and that's gonna be us. And we ain't gonna apologize for it, and we ain't gonna bow down to nobody, we ain't kissing nobody, but it's not gonna happen because you have to call out evil when you confront evil. That sign back there, what is it? It's by Ida B. Wells Barnett. It's right there. And this is her famous quote where she said, the way to right wrongs is to shine the light of truth upon them. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shine that light. It's gonna be black and it's gonna be real bright. And we're going to sit here and hit them with the light because it's going to be a whole lot of darkness under these evil people come 12:01 p.m. on January 20th. And y'all already know, on that day, we ain't streaming a damn thing dealing with the inauguration. That's going to be MLK Day. And that's what we're going to be talking about.
All right.
Just letting y'all know.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot
tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
There was a hearing today, and let's just say Rudy Giuliani was not happy at all. Now, you know, he's got to pay a massive judgment to two black poll workers in Georgia because he kept defaming them in the 2020 election. And Rudy ain't too happy, y'all. And the judge was kicking his ass today saying, where's the title for your Mercedes-Benz? And then he goes outside of court, and y'all, and listen to this. If y'all want to see white tears, check this out.
Reality is, I have no cash. It's all tied up. So right now, if I wanted to call a taxi cab, I can't do it. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a checking account. I have no place I can go take cash out except a little bit that I saved, and it's getting down to almost nothing. I have a business. I can do business expenses, but I'm very careful about that because God forbid I should make a mistake between a personal and a business expense. Unlike Hunter Biden, I go to jail right away.
Oh, really? So you think that that's going to work? Y'all, he started going at the judge. The judge was like, sit your ass down. Joe, no tears. Rudy Giuliani continually defamed these sisters, and now he's pissed because they snatching everything. His son, my dad's going to have to give up his World Series collections. Yes, bring that shit here. Oh, but his collection of watches, come on, bring that here. They taking everything, sell everything. Yo, leave his ass butt naked. Sell his suits, sell his shoes, sell everything. This is what you get when you show your ass and you act a fool. And they kept telling you, say, dog, stop lying. No, he kept lying. He kept lying. He kept defaming them. And what's so stupid? Trump owes this fool $3 million in legal fees. He still ain't paid. Well, guess what? If Trump cut his ass that check, Ruby get that money.
Right. That's right. So, yeah, he's in a little bit of a pickle, man. Sometimes, you know, the game is kind of tough that way. And so, yeah, no, not an ounce of sympathy. I don't know if maybe he thought he was Donald Trump or something, but at the end of the day, he got rolled up pretty good, and he doesn't deserve any sympathy. And really, you know, a lot of his family isn't really with him like that either. They're a little less than sympathetic, and they've been that way for a minute. Whether they wanted that ultimate fate for him at all or not. It was really out of their hands because this is a cause and effect. This is something that he did that, as my people would say, he ain't had no business doing, okay? Got busted on it and has an incredible judgment that he doesn't have the ability to pay, or at the least it starts with his possessions. And that's how it goes when you get yourself in so much trouble that you get a judgment that you can't cover. So I don't have an ounce of sympathy for him, and I hope they continue to juice him like a sunkiss.
He's sitting here whining, Mustafa, because today's hearing is about setting a date for a January trial, and the judge jammed up saying, yo, man, why you ain't turning 1980 Mercedes over? And so he's mad. He's upset. I love this line from give me 1 second. The courtroom. I love the all the different the sketch artists that took place. Yeah, let me see. Maybe I can show this to y'all. I love this here. He was so upset. This sketch artist right here just nailed it. Look at Rudy sitting there, just mad, all upset. Mustafa, well, Rudy, guess what? You wrote checks, now your ass couldn't cash. Now it's on you, player.
Yeah, well, he's mad because his privilege didn't allow him to be protected in the way that he thought that it would. He thought that he could be able to do and say whatever he wanted, and there would be no repercussions for that. You know, it's interesting because so many folks continue to focus on him. So one, it's interesting that his crew ain't showed up for him. Not only Donald Trump, but you've seen in the past when we've had these folks who are on the MAGA side of the equation, and when they do something, how all these people show up and pay their legal fees and all this other type of stuff. So that should also tell you something about how that group of people feel about him, that he is a detriment to the things that they're trying to do, even as egregious as they are. The other impact, or the other thing that you got to talk about, is that, you know, these two black women who are doing their job, right, trying to make sure that democracy worked the way that it's supposed to work, this individual decided that he would both, you know, help to perpetuate both physical and mental impacts on them. And he just kept fanning the flames and kept fanning the flames and kept fanning the flames. So, you know, they're getting death threats. They're getting all these different types of things. They can't leave their homes. And then you've got the mental health aspect of that weight that they had to continue to carry. So every dollar that they are receiving, they deserve. Because this individual decided that, you know, he was above the law and that he could do and say whatever he wanted. So I'm glad that he got checked. And I hope all the other folks who continue to do these types of things also have to go in their pockets to make sure that they are reimbursing folks for their time, for the mental health, and for the physical things that they have to go through.
I love this here, Randy, quote, because the judge was jamming him up about getting a title. Your client is a competent person. He was the U.S. attorney in this district. The notion that he can't apply for a title certificate and then Giuliani then cuts him off. I did apply for it. What am I supposed to do? Make it up myself? Your implication that I have not been diligent about it is totally incorrect. Well, you made up stuff about the two workers. And then he cried poverty. I'm not impoverished. Everything I have is tied up. I don't have a car. I don't have a credit card. I don't have cash. And I love this sketch artist right here. Arms folded, all upset, mad, and angry. I don't know who that is, a black dude or was a white guy standing next to him. I don't know who that is. Then he claimed, first of all, he's very good at this. He claimed without providing evidence, someone had placed what he called a stop order on his Social Security account. And the judge said, I had enough of this. Judge said, next time, he's not going to be permitted to speak and the court will take action. Your client can either represent himself by counsel or appear pro se. He can't do both. And then the judge says the cars and the keys without the title is meaningless. Oh, and this is that Mercedes right here. So sorry, Rudy, you're going to have to suck this thing up. And then the judge denied his bid to push back a January 16th trial of whether he can hang on to some of his prized possessions. Remember, he also is appealing the case. He's been disbarred as well. And so, oh, well, sorry, Randy. I have zero sympathy for that Trump suck-up.
And it's very fascinating to watch someone crumble in front of us because he is so accustomed to privilege. You know, this man is 80 years old, and for most of his life, he has gotten away with this sort of behavior because of privilege. And now he is becoming this victim in front of us, and we're supposed to feel sorry for him. I mean, I guess he expects some people to get a GoFundMe for his $148 million debt. But yeah, I think his gasket is flabbered. He just cannot believe this is happening to him. But he's getting exactly what he deserves to get. I am very proud of those two women for actually standing up and pressing charges, because a lot of people would not have. They would have complained about it, but they would not have said, we are going to file charges against this very powerful man. So good for him. And, I want to get my popcorn and watch him, cry and beg a little bit more. I
love this here. He wants to delay the trial. It's supposed to be January 16th. And then his attorney said argument for delaying the trial was that he'd like the case to be resolved in time for him to attend the inauguration. And then Staten Island attorney Joseph Camarata claimed Giuliani has an involvement with the inauguration and that he regularly consults with Trump. The judge is like, I'm sorry, your social calendar does not represent good cause to grant a delay. Oh my goodness, I love it. That white privilege ain't working. That federal judge like, nah, player, we gonna have this trial January 16th. And your ass about to pay up. So I want these two sisters to snatch everything. In fact, I would love, because when they get their hands on his penthouse in New York, I say we throw a party in that bad boy. Mm-hmm. I say, that's real tough, I'm straight. Yeah, I will live stream. I will live stream a show in that sucker. I'm telling y'all right now. And then let's all drive around Georgia in that car. And so I take everything. Take Ruby and Shay, y'all hit me up. When y'all take custody of that apartment, I will do Roland Martin Unfiltered from that apartment. I'm just letting y'all know. I will happily do that. And I'll bring the DJ and everything. I'm just saying.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use, next generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase. And we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Well, folks, looks like Byron Allen's lawsuit against McDonald's is moving forward. A federal judge ruled that he can go to trial in his lawsuit against McDonald's. This is the story from the Grill right here. Federal judge rules Byron Allen's $10 billion lawsuit against McDonald's for racial discrimination will go to trial. According to the federal judge, he ruled that there was enough evidence, there was sufficient evidence for the suit against McDonald's by his media companies under Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866 to go to trial. It says the lawsuit alleges that the fast food chain blocked Allen and his media properties, including his TV networks and streaming assets, from McDonald's general market ad agency responsible for dispersing the vast majority of McDonald's massive ad budget. According to court filings, McDonald's spends hundreds of millions of dollars each year to advertise its products in national media. Instead, the lawsuit claims Allen and his companies were relegated to McDonald's black-only ad agency, which has a significantly smaller budget. The racial discrimination suit argues despite annual pleas for the Allen media companies to be included in McDonald's general ad market, they remain in its black-only market because Allen is black, which Allen's parent company, Entertainment Studios, described as blatant and pernicious discrimination. In his 25-page ruling, the judge denied McDonald's motion for a summary judgment in his favor and said the case will proceed in a court trial that could see Allen succeed in a groundbreaking racial discrimination suit. The reality is this here, Larry. What we are seeing a significant number of companies that are pulling back on their DEI efforts. We are seeing them pulling back on investments in black-owned media. I got no problem saying it. McDonald's advertised with us last year. We thought there was going to be a It was supposed to be a multi-year deal. It came back, was like, oh, no, only 1 year. That was it, and nothing this year. And the reality is, when you look at a lot of these other different companies, same thing. Again, if for African Americans, it may be going the court route in order to seek justice for historically being ignored by these media companies, by these major companies. Some 340, close to $400 billion in America is spent every year on advertising, and Black-owned media gets barely 1% out of the $340 billion.
Yeah, so, shout out to Byron Allen, because he's been doing this for several years and trying to hold these corporations accountable as it relates to racial discrimination lawsuits. And I was pleased to see that this is moving forward, and hopefully, he gets what he deserves. Not only that, hopefully he chips away at a system that, traditionally loves Black culture, makes money off Black culture, but won't see our humanity, so to speak. So, like I said, shout out to Byron Allen for continuing to keep these corporations' feet to their fire. Roland, you've been on your show.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, been on your show many times. You talked about the small percentage into which is dedicated to Black companies. And so, hopefully, with this lawsuit and the conversation you've had, the points you made throughout, over the last several years, hopefully we see a shift in dynamic. But also, we have to highlight that you're right. There is an attack on DEI initiatives, which really basically impact everyone. But anytime any trickle of money is seen to go to Black folks, then this becomes a problem.
And what happens, the reality is you've got to have a hell of a lot of money for lawyers to file these type of lawsuits, Joy. Companies want to drain you of time, energy, and resources. And that's one of the reasons why very few people file these particular lawsuits. But what we also are seeing, though, is, to Larry's point, I can tell you whether it's Netflix, whether it's Prime Video, whether it's Stars, whether it's Hulu. It's amazing. I can go back to OWN. I can go Showtime, HBO. It's amazing how often I get pitched by publicists who want to get their clients, want to get them on the show. So, but when you bring up advertising, all of a sudden folk go real quiet. And I always say, wait a minute, hold up. So if my audience is good enough to talk to with your talent, why are we not good enough for you to spend advertising dollars? And it's because when it comes to Black-owned media, a lot of these companies, they want to, it's called earned media. They want to do us for free, but they don't want to pay any advertising. And guess what? You don't have a media business if you can't get advertising dollars.
They're then artists working hard to promote their own things because they're not putting the marketing budget and the ad budget behind them. In order to market them as stars. And one of the things that I appreciate about Byron's strategy here, right, is that it's one highlighting that a lot of these companies have what we know and what we call as Black money, right, or the equity money. And quite often it is organizations, and this is not only for large corporations, but, I would say the same thing about donors, right? They have that small pot that they have allocated. This is going for our Black stuff, our Black outreach, our engagement, our advertising, because political campaigns do it as well. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the overall budget, which is much, much larger, right? And that's what I think sort of Byron is knocking here. He's like, wait, I didn't ask to be like a part of the, the Black money. This is in advertising overall and in general. Right, that we should be able to compete here. And this is what I'm, looking forward to us challenging in this space where we see a lot of companies rolling back these programs and ending this. Let's challenge that. No, don't just put me in this black money space or in this urban space or here. Like, you spend, 1.2, or whatever the amount is in advertising overall, right? And so overall, we should be included in that larger number, not this piecemeal number where you then have entities competing with each other for that small pot of money rather than sort of the larger pot in your overall budget. And that's why I've always encouraged clients and others to look at what is the overall advertising budget? What is the overall, foundation budget and who they're giving to? Not just their black stuff or their urban stuff where the issues are. What is it overall? And being able to chip away at that and change people's mindset of, we just don't want the piece of it over here that you bit off. You know how like your mom, you used to ask your friend or your sister for a piece of something and she bite a little piece off and it's like, you can have a bite of this. No, we want the whole thing. We want to be able to compete on the playing field in that way.
Well, here's one of the things that, to Iljoy's point, Mustafa, what the companies, I call those community affairs dollars. I remember when I was managing editor of the Dallas Weekly, and Jim Washington, he passed away earlier this year. He's always say, Mr. Barton, why are you always trying to put my competitors out of business? I said, Jim, I'm not trying to put these other black people out of business. I said, but the reality is this marketplace, Dallas, cannot sustain 7 black newspapers. I said, I'm sorry, it's not enough people here, okay? I said, and Jim, we can't charge our actual ad rates. And I long said to a lot of these black publishers, like, yeah, you're owning a very, very, very small paper. Why don't y'all actually create one mega black newspaper? And now you're able to go into a company and say, yes, you're going to pay me $12,000 or $15,000 for the full page ad. I said, Jim, instead what happens is they're going to give you $2,500. You're going to give them a $1,500. You're going to give the Dallas Post Tribune, you're going to give them $2,500. You're going to give the Dallas Examiner $1,000. I said, you're getting community relation dollars. I said, you're never talking to the ad agency. And it happens now. I don't have any problem saying it because we ain't got shit from them. I mean, listen, all we've gotten is the runaround and nothing but meetings from Group M. They control upwards of $100 billion. Dentsu, $60 billion. Publicis, oh my God. We got the runaround. We've gotten the runaround from them for 4 years. Horizon. I can just go on and on and on. These ad agencies that these companies employ to do their work, and all we get is the runaround. This happens over and over and over. And so these lawsuits are about saying to the companies, okay, can you actually explain to us the logic behind a lot of the decisions that you make? I mean, I look at, listen, somebody told me that was this black event that was supposed to take place, and it's an award show, and McDonald's gave them $300,000 in advertising, and I was like, okay, for a one-night award show, as opposed to, let's say, how do you do something with us for a year? And then, but here's what I also get. Oh, well, because you cover news, well, we don't really advertise on news. Okay, we do customized content. There are things that we can do. We reached 30 million views last month. Okay, we're going to exceed to a 250 million views this year. There's no other black news outlet that does what we do. But my friend Todd, Urban Edge Network, has a great explanation. He said the companies and the ad agencies always come up with one more thing that you don't have as the reason why they can't invest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting game that's played. I mean, we could go into a deep economic conversation, but, for folks who are watching, I'm very clear in how this all plays out. Folks will pimp you as long as you allow them to pimp you, right? So we have 2 different ways of getting at this. One is the legal side, which Byron and others have been pursuing to make sure that justice happens in that space. For me, it also comes down to our people also understanding their value. And when you understand your value, then that means that you stop lowering your expectations of individuals that you are engaging with. And that means that you have to be a better steward of your dollars and where you are going to give your dollars. So if you see folks that are funding, you can no longer fund your own oppression. If you see folks who are not being supportive of your community in the ways that you feel that they should be, then one of the best ways is to remove your dollar from them until they show up in an authentic way that is representing what your sets of values are. And we also have to make sure that we are also supporting those who are out there who are fighting for us. So if you've got a Black Star Network, one, we should be also making sure that we are funding the Black Star Network, but we should also make sure that individuals understand these entities, these corporate entities, that there's a set of expectations of them and that we will remove our dollars, that the McRib is not enough to sell out our liberation. And until we change our mindset, then we're going to have a difficult time in being able to not only just get their respect, because getting someone's respect is difficult when they do not see you as human, when they don't see your communities as valuable. The only thing that they see of value is the dollars that you freely give, but that we are going to hold them accountable. So we have some responsibility also in this space in making sure that these changes actually happen. Now, we saw the power that, just a few folks on social media had to be able to threaten companies, and we saw how quickly they began to fold. Now, they wanted to fold anyway, but this was sort of the, what broke the camel's back, if you want to label it with that way. But again, we have power. I keep telling folks, you have power. You have so much power that you don't even realize that you have, but we just give it away. And this is just another example of us not holding people accountable and utilizing our power in a way that is transformational for our communities, because we get to address the wealth gap, but we also get to make sure that we are supporting those who are creating content that makes sure it tells the true story of who we are, not only for this country, but across the planet.
But the thing here is that this really requires, Joy, a reprogramming of Black people. I can't, it's amazing to me. I can't tell you how many times I have posted about this subject. I have posted on all social media platforms. I've talked about it on this show. And does it get the number of clicks as some bullshit? Nope. Like, for instance, if I wanted to, I could. It was very interesting. Somebody asked me, and they said, why aren't you doing something on the Diddy trial every day? I was like, one, ain't nothing happening every day. Two, I got other stuff that I cover. And when I raise this stuff, I'm literally talking about billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. I'm not talking about who the hell is somebody sleeping with, who had a baby, who got divorced, who got married, who's on the beach with whom, all that sort of stuff that's here. It's billions of dollars. And when Mustafa talked about that stuff not gonna happen until Black folks get serious about the money and realize how we're getting screwed out of the money. You can talk reparations all you want to. I'm talking about dollars right now. The federal government spends $1 billion on advertising. Black-owned media gets less than 1%. 4 Democratic firms, $600 million passed through those companies on the Kamala Harris campaign. Okay? One of them was created in 2023. One was created in 2021. So we ain't even talking about companies with long track record. We're talking about folks who got the hookup. And so Black people should be sitting here saying, oh, hell no. No. Until we start having a money conversation, we ain't having no other conversation. But we also have to get serious about the money.
Yeah. Well, as an organizer at heart, you're singing my song as I talk about this on the local level in organizing with Brooklyn NAACP. And, we really take people through, as you mentioned, the individual companies and the federal government. New York's budget, well, for not only New York State, but New York City's budget is in the billions, right? It's larger. New York City's budget is larger than some states and collection of states. And talking to people about the ask and getting serious about the money that the city is spending, that the state is spending, and making sure that it is investing in for all of its people is a chore, and it's hard work, right? Convincing people and engaging people in that conversation of, as Mustafa mentioned, using their power and demanding more investment in their communities. And that's hard work. That is, education. And, I don't mean going to school education. I mean just informing people. And as a former staffer, I remember doing the meeting before the meeting. Right. I remember going to my people. I'd be like, they're going to tell you they only got 10 million. But what they ain't going to tell you is about this other pot of money over here. That's 82 million. So, ask for this amount because this is what's here. So giving people that information. And so it's going to take, one, educating people as you continue to do here of what is at stake, what is possible. And also, as Mustafa mentioned, continuing to empower people to use their power to demand more, and then pulling back their support and their resources. And that's the thing that, is harder to do, right? Because people want to see an immediate reaction. They want to do the, as you see pop up on social media all the time, people's like, we need to do a protest. And it's like, you have no infrastructure to support a protest. You have no infrastructure to support an economic boycott because you're not even taking on the education and the empowerment that people are giving you. We can do it because we have the power, but it requires the sacrifice. It requires the investment in the entities that exist and can exist. It requires you to say, I hate watch these social media, these news entities. I don't like them. I want something different. So it requires you to make that sacrifice and turn it off and bring your eyeballs and your dollars and your investments into the spaces that you want to see. And that's not only for, the Black community. I think that it is American commercialism overall, right? Where we have been conditioned that, you don't have power. That's the reason why I talk about civics the way, even the conversation about civics is turned into volunteerism. They've taken the power out of civics as if you can't control or have a voice in budgets. You can't have a voice and have control in terms of legislation and policy. They've taken the power out of it. And so, as Mustafa mentions, continuing to remind people of that power, then educating them with where, who the decision maker is, where the money is, how much is available there, and then with the demand, we can continue the work that you do and that all of us do to make sure that people are getting their fair share.
And the thing here is, Larry, is getting people to understand. People are like, oh yeah, but it was even hilarious when all these fools were talking about, well, yeah, you got $350,000 from the Kamala campaign, and I'm like, you do know there are 15 people who are employed. You do know those people have families, so you do know when they get paid for working every single day, and then you're paying for equipment, you're paying for travel, and you're doing these things. Guess what? So it's not like only one person is benefiting. And so for me, when I'm arguing for African Americans to get legal contracts from Fortune 500 companies, I'm not a lawyer. That's not benefiting Roland personally. But I also know that there's a benefit when you have Black law firms and Black accounting firms and Black engineering firms and Black PR firms and Black event planning firms, Black transportation companies, Black catering companies. And so it can't just be all about, well, you as an, well, I'm not seeing any of it when it's a collective thing. When I am able to sit here and take what I earn, and then when I get to the end of the year, okay, what's gonna be my tax liability? Oh, I can make, so we're gonna make this $25,000 gift to this school or for this scholarship fund. That's benefiting somebody else. That's how those things are done. And so I think for a lot of people, it's understanding that if you want to talk about how do you move a community forward, if you ain't having a money conversation, you're having the wrong conversation.
Roland, it's interesting the point you make, and I see some of these folks come after you on social media over some nonsense. So I think let's talk about some principles. In a few weeks, we're going to have Kwanzaa. One of the tenets of Kwanzaa, Nugo Saga, focuses on shared economic, investment. I also made the point earlier about Pan-Africanism. We have, as a community, and in terms of where we are and the challenges we are going to encounter in the next couple of years, you're right. we are going to have to make sure we have politically, economically, socially, we're all on the same page to further the Black economic agenda. And the only way to do that is to put a lot of this nonsense aside and understand we're in a fight for our lives. So these companies that, you've been highlighting, and we talked about, Byron Allen's lawsuit, they're going to continue to shrink in their support and their investment in Black community. We can't let that happen. And I know Joy, I know her work with NAACP and various other entities knows this in terms of community organizing and making sure the corporations or local and state federal government is held accountable. Black people, we're a massive economic engine, not only here in the United States, but throughout the world, throughout the diaspora. And so we have to use that, leverage that economic and political pressure to make sure these corporations increase that 3%, which you talked about, but also creating jobs in Black communities to ensure that, once again, that throughout the community, everyone can thrive. We can all eat and we can all move forward.
And I'm going to say this, Mustafa, what it also requires civil rights groups not to play us small. Okay, it requires, and I'm very clear. If a company decides that we're going to make $1 million donation or $5 million donation to the Urban League or the NAACP, okay, that's great, but that don't replace contracts to Black-owned businesses. That doesn't, because see, again, when Eljoy talked about what's the total pie? So if MasterCard, if Bank of America, if Walmart, if Amazon, if those companies are sponsoring luncheons or initiatives with these various civil rights groups, that's fine. But they also are spending 1, 2, 300, 400, 500 million, $1 billion, several $1 billion. Amazon's marketing budget alone is $20 billion. Okay? Pepsi, $3 billion. You look at McDonald's advertising, we're only talking advertising budget. We're not talking other budgets, advertising budgets. The professional services, again, outside law firms, outside accounting firms, we're talking millions of dollars. Black people being frozen out. And so we have to be thinking not in terms of, oh, that's great that Wells Fargo is doing a $50 million 10-year commitment to the NAACP. Oh, that's great. That's great. But how much did Black people lose in collective wealth through the home foreclosure crisis? See, I'm sorry. I'm like, as Eljo said, I'm looking at the big piece of chicken.
Yeah.
You're not going to have me saying the little crumbs in the corner of the Popeyes box is a meal. And I just skipped over the whole 4-piece. No. You can't get me to see crumbs as a meal. And that is a mindset that a lot of us have to change. A lot of us have been operating as if that crumb is a meal. And it's like, no, that's why we've been starving.
Well, that's what we're taught, right? We're taught to just be thankful for the small wins and for the small amounts. And that's not how other communities operate. So we have to change that dynamic. And we've got to make sure, from the streets to the suites, that everybody is included in how we are moving forward. And until we begin to operate from that sort of a paradigm, it's going to be tough. I think you might be a bit more gracious than I am. And I am a lifetime member in a whole bunch of different organizations. And my expectations also are for those organizations that we're very careful about how and where we accept dollars, because I think it also sends a message if we are serious. And it also says, can we actually pressure individuals and entities in the way that is necessary? But I also understand the game. I understand that folks got to keep the lights on. They got to continue to be able to support their programming, all these different types of things. I mean, I run organizations, so I get all that. But we also got to just be mindful of if we're going to be authentic in the space and in how we operate. So, in this moment, we've got to raise our expectations, hold people accountable, hold ourselves accountable, and really make sure that we are looking at the much bigger sets of opportunities out there. James Baldwin said, if I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see. We've got a whole bunch of folks inside of our community who just don't understand that when you pull the curtain back from the wizard, what's really going on. And that's why, whether it's the Black Star Network or other, other trusted sources, that we educate and motivate, but then we got to activate folks to be able to move forward.
Well, and that's why when I tell people, I said the difference between what we're able to do and a CNN, a ABC, and Fox, they're getting billions of dollars a year. They're getting the big advertising contracts. That's why they can send 16, 20, 30, 50, 100 people on major stories. Let's just be real honest, okay? And I got no problem saying this because it's a fact. Black news is almost comatose. If you look at, in my office, I have a mural, and y'all should have it in the control room. It's paying homage to Black-owned media. Okay, it says hashtag Black-owned media matters. And it has all of these different magazine covers. It has all of these different things. And so you see it, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, man, that's, people come in my office and they go, wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. But here's the problem. Every single one of those outlets actually covered news. They actually covered news. You see right there, The Crisis, that's NAACP, Negro Digest, Emerge, Ebony, Jet. You see Essence, Black Enterprise, Savoy Magazine. You see BET, used to have a number of different shows. Of course, TV One had My Sunday Show, had News One Now. They have no news right now. You see Black Enterprise. Here's a fact. You see Essence. Here's a fact. Black Enterprise today is an event company. They do conferences. They don't actually cover a lot of black business. It's just a fact. Essence, pretty much, it's hair and beauty. Ebony is essentially an Instagram page and an Ebony 100 gala. That's just a fact. Blavity doesn't. They aggregate a lot of their content. News One, aggregate a lot of their content. TV One, as I said, they've got no shows. BET has a monthly 1-hour magazine show. BET got $10 million from the Kamala Harris campaign. What did they actually cover? They had a D.L. Hughley Men's Summit show. They did a show with Jasmine Crockett, Joyce Beatty, Maxine Waters, 3 members of Congress. They had a Biden interview. That's 3 shows in the course of a year. Maybe they did some stuff on digital. If I look at we could you could say black radio, you ain't got much news. Yeah, you got American Urban Radio Network. But what I'm saying is, if it ain't sports and entertainment, it ain't getting covered. And then all these people who yell, oh, we knew black media. They ain't covering shit. They sit their ass at home talking about what everybody else is doing. When we go out there to cover stuff, we're the only black-owned outlet that's there. Now, if we go to some city, you might see some local media. For the most part, y'all, we ain't seeing black-owned media out there. And I keep telling people, you're gonna rue the day where you're gonna ask somebody, and I'm gonna throw this out there, and people think I'm joking. And y'all see Elon Musk out there joking around about buying MSNBC. Let me explain something to y'all. Comcast is spinning off a number of their cable networks into a separate company. And MSNBC and some of the cable networks. Let me tell y'all what happens when you're a publicly traded company. Somebody can come in, and let's say your stock is $15 a share. Elon Musk can come in there and say, yeah, we're gonna buy you for $40 a share. Let me tell y'all in America, Brian Roberts at Comcast, he turned that money down. Just like Jack Dorsey didn't turn that Twitter money down. And we see what happened there. So black people watch MSNBC more than any other cable network. Oh, don't be shocked. Do not be shocked when MSNBC gets spun off into that separate media entity that some right-wing billionaire does not throw a massive amount of money on there to completely shut that joint down. Now remember, there's a bunch of other cable networks in there. They'll sacrifice flipping MSNBC to kill the content. So then black folks, where you gonna go? See, I need folk to understand what's actually happening out here in the real world. And so if we are not understanding how a black-owned media ecosystem has to be built, maintained, and sustained, then we're going to be in a situation where we are going to be begging somebody else, can you come to our news conference? Can you please cover this? I got an email today. The Congressional Black Caucus Executive Committee is having a news conference to announce the new chair and their initiative. Okay, who's gonna cover it? Who's gonna give it the amount of attention? Who's gonna give it the kind of coverage? See, I need people to understand that. I need people to understand that if it were not for the black press, black newspapers, civil rights movement would have nobody. A. Philip Randolph had his own newspaper. Y'all, we were able to get our story told because we had actual products that we owned. And having an Instagram page is not owning a media company. Saying I got, millions of followers, because you know what? Instagram could cut your page off. And I got 10 million followers. They cut your ass off. What you got? And I'm just warning people. I'm warning people to understand what is going on. It is sitting before us. If they freeze you out of the money, you are going to suffocate. I know for a fact that there are ad agencies and companies. They thought I would not be still here 6 years later. It was like, yeah, we're gonna wait him out. And they like, damn, his ass still here. How the hell did they do it? Because I don't just understand content, I understand the business of the business. But I am warning our people, if we allow ourselves to get played and we are so fixated on a white gaze and white validation and white media, we're going to look up and you're going to see no black-owned media infrastructure. And that means you're going to be begging somebody else and hope they cover us and hire us. And then we have to ask somebody permission, please, pretty please, can I talk about black people and get your approval? And that right there, it should scare the death out of any brother and sister in this country. So we shall see what happens with Byron Allen's lawsuit against McDonald's, and we shall see what also happens when it comes to the attack.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. and then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
All of these Republicans, especially these nutcases at Fox News, they are saying how dare these Republicans speak out against Peter Hegseth to be Secretary of Defense. And they're saying that the current Secretary of State, the Hegseth, is far more qualified. Hegseth even posted a tweet saying, we need to have a Secretary of Defense who's been in battle, who's had bullets whizzing by. Chuck Hagel, he knows that experience. Lloyd Austin, he knows that experience. In fact, all of these people assume, I love how they want to denigrate Lloyd Austin. So, just so y'all know, Lloyd Austin served in the military from 1975 to 2016. He's a retired 4-star general in the United States Army. He finished from the United States Military Academy, Auburn University, Webster University, native Mobile, Alabama. Okay, let's see here. He's commanded the United States Central Command. He's been Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army. Forces in Iraq, Multinational Corps in Iraq, Airborne Corps, 10th Mountain Division, 3rd Brigade, 82nd Airborne Division, 2nd Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment. Wars he's been in: war in Afghanistan, Iraq War, Operation Inherent Resolve. If we pull up the list of awards: Defense Distinguished Service Medal with 4 bronze Oak Cliff clusters, Army Distinguished Service Medal, the Silver Star, Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Army Presidential Unit Citation, Joint Meritorious Unit Award, Secretary's Distinguished Service Award, Department of State, National Defense Service Award, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal with Campaign Star, Iraq Campaign Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, Army Overseas Service Ribbon, and on and on. When these white folk actually read Peter Hegseth's bio, he literally can't even carry Lloyd Austin's briefcase. If these white folks crack me up, Lauren, with their nonsense, how like Will Cain out here defending his boy Peter Hegseth for, all these Republicans voted for Lloyd Austin for Secretary of State. How dare they oppose Peter Hegseth? Player, you can't even compare Hegseth to Lloyd Austin's record. Again, Austin, retired 4-star general, the highest you can go. Hegseth, he ain't even got a star. I wish these folks go sit their punk asses down, Lauren.
Yeah, part of the result of President Obama is this sort of fantasy land that some of the conservatives have created for themselves. And I thought it really started with Breitbart, which was taken over by Steve Bannon when Breitbart, had a heart attack. This idea that reality isn't reality, they need that. They need to hang on to that because, in fact, the reality of it is there's plenty of qualified Black folks in the military, obviously Lloyd Austin being one of them as a 4-star. And so when you put up some Fox News host as your nominee for Secretary of Defense, and his resume is thin, and then you find out that this guy sounds as if, to me, he's an alcoholic from what the reporting is revealing. And you have a woman who reported a sexual assault, a rape to the police, which was in fact not adjudicated. The police did not continue with her allegation, but still, this is your nominee. And then, you have to live in a fantasy world to think that that type of nominee with those types of issues is somehow superior to somebody like Lloyd Austin. Living in the fantasy is the only way that you can continue this bizarre, crazy notion that you're superior. I mean, that's all they've got. And so that's what this is, in my view. It's a sad state of affairs.
It is just hilarious to watch these people, Reese, tout a mediocre white man who, and then Tommy Tuberville goes, well, I don't think it's the job of the Republicans to vet the candidates. Democrats should do that. Punk ass, that's your job of a U.S. Senator to advise and consent. These people are a joke. They do not mind. They love touting mediocrity when it comes to white folks. They want to call anybody black dumb, ignorant, and a DI hire.
Well, it's the white math. The white math puts a deviant, degenerate, incompetent, stupid motherfucker who has all kind of out of wedlock babies, multiple marriages, ain't been able to keep his dick in his pants, not even one time he was married, okay? A person who can't even manage a slush fund with 10 measly ass employees. A person who could not manage the funds. He can't manage his alcohol intake, can't manage his personal conduct, who had to have his mama, like a little bitch, sit up there and go on TV and defend him. Imagine Lloyd Austin, grown big ass, calling in his mama to make calls on his defense. And Peter Hegseth, who got dogged out by his mama for being what she said was womanizing and an abuser. Now she coming back in reverse, of course, calling him a patriot. It must be the white man that in your mind allows you to think there's any kind of equivalence, that they're even in the same realm. They wouldn't be allowed in the same rooms, skiffs or otherwise, not the same child lines, nothing. But it's the disease and derangement of whiteness that gives people the audacity to utter Lloyd Austin's name in the same breath as that deviant and incompetent loser, Peter Hegseth. There's absolutely no reason why that man should be confirmed if they even get to a confirmation process. And we know these hoes ain't loyal Donald Trump when it comes to people. He already shopping around for a new defense secretary. So all this groveling and all of this cover that these Republicans are giving Peter Hegseth, or Pete, I don't even know if his name is Peter. I'm going to call him Peter because he seemed like a little Peter. All of this cover they're giving him is just an embarrassment to them. But these people have no damn shame. They are part of the cult at Trump, and he has all these people by the balls. The only person that might tank him is Joni Ernst, because she has her eyes on the gig. And so maybe she might whisper in a little couple ears, and she might say, oh, let's not pick him, pick me instead. Maybe that'll happen. But if it relies on the dignity and the self-awareness of Peter Hegseth to step aside, which surprisingly Matt Gaetz had, then we in deep trouble. But don't ever in your life put Lloyd Austin, who has impeccably ran the Department of Defense. We can see his record now, having run the Department of Defense for the past 4 years. Don't put him in the same sentence as Pete Hegseth. That is ridiculous.
I get a crack out of the fact that, Greg, let's see here. Last 4 years, ain't been no cabinet scandals. You ever had people had to resign in disgrace, didn't have to be fired, none of that sort of stuff. But hey, these little MAGA trolls, they say, oh, we want that back. Oh, so they want that chaos. But the sheer incompetence of Peter Hegseth, yeah. When your mama wrote the letter to you, and she mad it got published, your mama wrote it. We ain't said. Your mama said you were abusive to women. Man, I don't want to hear that little nonsense. And so the boys cooked, and here's the Will Kane. Let's be real. Will, I destroyed you so many times at CNN. Come on. Peter Hegseth is as accomplished at running the Department of Defense as you were at being on ESPN. You had no business talking sports on ESPN. You had no credentials to be on ESPN, and that was a joke. You know it. We all know it. You got to hook up. We know why you got to hook up. So can we please stop? That boy ain't got no business being near Secretary of Defense, and these people look like fools trying to strain themselves. They're going to pull all kind of muscles, try to convince people that he can actually run the department. Shut the hell up.
Well, help me, because I thought maybe I saw yesterday that a day before, was it Stephen A. Smith that said that Trump should get a pardon? I thought.
Oh yeah, I ripped that. He was on with Chris Cuomo, and Cuomo said, "Hey, you might disagree with this, but I think that Biden should pardon Trump." And Stephen A. agreed. And I said, "Both y'all crazy." I said, "Hell no, he don't deserve no damn Trump. I mean, he don't deserve no damn pardon." And I'm like, I'm not all this. We need to end all of this. Move on. Then you got John Fetterman sitting here talking about, Trump needs to be pardoned for his case in New York. Hey, Fetterman, dumbass, that's a state case. And Governor Kathy Hochul, hell no, he don't deserve no pardon. I'm so sick of these people with so damn scared. Greg, go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, I agree with you, but I mean, now one thing I will say that Fetterman, Cuomo, Stephen A. Smith have in common in this regard, and I'll just detour for a moment. Whoever thought I would be quoting LeVar Ball, who said of Jason Whitlock that the only thing he should comment on is snacks. The only thing that Stephen A. Smith should comment on, the only thing that Stephen A. Smith should comment on is ball. Talk about ball chasing, man. Don't stray your, vocabulary, abusive vocabulary. You commit so many crimes with the vocabulary. You should save all that for ball playing. Don't get into politics, man. And of course, but the thing that they have in common is they seem to think we live in a nation. This is the fundamental mistake. I'm gonna tell you who else got mad at the idea that Hegseth would be abandoned. Steve Bannon, yesterday from his row house in the shadow of Capitol Hill, on his War Room podcast, mad as hell at Trump and them, saying Mar-a-Lago needs to get its act together. Do not abandon. And I don't know whether it's Peter or Pete either, Reese, but he said Pete. He said, don't abandon Pete. Don't abandon Pete. Because, and this is the fundamental issue, abusing women, sexual assault, complete and thorough incompetence, alcoholism, these are not detriments. They are qualifications. The objective that Bannon has is to destroy the government. So as we talk about the idea that there are standards or that there's some notion of national unity, whether it be John Fetterman or Stephen A. Smith, whether it be Andrew Cuomo or whoever else saying Biden should pardon Trump, you're thinking about this like you're trying to preserve something that doesn't exist. Just like the deficits that are going to explode when the Republicans give all this money to their billionaire friends and then the Democrats get back in office and try to fix it. You're trying to fix something. You're moving against a force that does not want it to be fixed. Steve Bannon, finally, is angry because these nominations are for people who will literally, if you can't destroy the Department of Education, you put WWF wrestler in to starve it to death, to take away its staff. If you can't destroy the folks over, whether it be the Department of Commerce or whether it be the folks who are going to control Bitcoin, the news breaking now that they're going to not have Bitcoin be regulated at all. They want the chaos because the chaos will allow them to steal with impunity. So Pete Hegseth may or may not get put out. If he gets put out and they pull DeSantis in, as Rebecca was talking about last night, right there in the studio, we need to have a strategy for thinking about who we're going to fight to put in the governorship in a few years in Florida. I don't know whether any of the men servant in the starting five will be picked. I understand Wesley Hunt is on the short list. Bruh, you're a black man in the Republican Party. You're not going to be the secretary of anything, perhaps the secretary of the janitorial crew, perhaps in the Pentagon.
Wesley Hunt.
The point is that these people want the chaos. That is the objective. They want to implode the thing from the inside, and then they get to do whatever the hell they want. So I think we're reading it wrong. We start talking about qualifications because the cruelty, as Adam Serwer said, is the point. The disqualifying things are qualifying things in this bizarro strategy.
Well, we know how crazy deranged they are. But what y'all not gonna do, you ain't gonna impugn the integrity and the qualifications of this brilliant black man for that idiot. But also, don't you love the Republicans who talk about the elitists, the Ivy Leagues, but they keep saying he Harvard educated. They crack me up with that nonsense as well. now, Peter, gone back with your 4-5 wives, gone back with your drinking, because guess what? You ain't going to be Secretary of Defense. And Will Kane, you're embarrassing yourself riding for your boy. But it ain't going to happen. Just letting y'all know, it ain't going to happen.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
All right, so social media is in an uproar over the vague way the New York Police Department chose to describe the skin color of the suspected killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This is how Chief of Detectives Joseph Kinney described the suspect to the public in Wednesday's news conference.
The shooter appears to be a light-skinned male. He's wearing a light brown or cream-colored jacket, a black face mask, black and white sneakers, and a very distinctive gray backpack.
This is who they are looking for. Does he look light-skinned to you? We all know what light-skin means. You know, you say light-skin, you normally say a light-skinned black person. I do not see that. The man that they're looking for isn't light-skinned. To me, he looks like he's a white man. Listen, I want to go to my panel now. Michael, what do you think about this vague description that I understand with this huge manhunt that people are in an uproar about?
Are you coming to me first, Candace, because I'm light-skinned? Is that why?
You. Okay. I'm not giving you the whole segment, though. Let's keep that.
I'm just so when I first heard this comment, like the same day, pretty much real time, I was saying there wasn't a brother that did this alleged hit. When they said light skin, I said no. And then when they released the picture and I saw it, I said no. This is like a white man, and for some reason they didn't want to say it. Now, also let me just say from the start, as the time of this broadcast, from my understanding, he's a person of interest. I don't think he's been actually named a suspect unless this happened, in the past hour or so. So they said he's a person of interest. But this is like a white man. This doesn't look like a light-skinned person. So, there's a good article from AtlantaBlackStar.com that talks about this and, alluding to the fact that they didn't want to say, reveal that this was a smiling white male is being sought. They wanted to say he's light skinned. And what that does is then also kind of puts a target on light skinned men. Okay, in that city, kind of puts a target who kind of fit that description. That kind of puts a target on light skinned men as well. But one of the things I think you may see, and Huffington Post had an article probably maybe about 10 years ago, and it dealt with how white suspects are oftentimes treated better than black victims. It's a fantastic article that looked at numerous news stories where African Americans were the victims of crime, and they talked about how the white controlled news media oftentimes would talk about how it's so much out of the character of this white person to kill somebody. But then when it's an African-American victim, they almost want to blame the African-American for their own murder. Okay, so we need to pay attention to this.
Let me bring Matt in here, Matt, because you deal with a lot of law enforcement in your line of work. I'm sure you interact with them a lot. I mean, could there be a strategy that the folks who are in the uproar about on social media may not be in tune with?
I mean, maybe. I do think this is a little much ado about nothing.
insofar as, they give often vague descriptions of people. However, I will readily concede they would normally say the person is fair-skinned, right? They would normally say light-skinned, which has a direct correlation in most people's understanding to be a black person. So I understand how people are making that leap. I don't think it really matters that much, because I think they could have said just as easily this person is fair-skinned or white, it made it inclusive. That's often what they do, right? A fair-skinned person, or perhaps a white person, or perhaps a light-skinned African-American, or perhaps a Latino person. Because phenotype, we know, does not necessarily mean race. All that being understood, light skin does have a specific connotation. When we hear light skin, we know we're talking about somebody who looked like Mike, right? Looks like Mike. But all jokes aside, we understand that. And I get people being angry about the perceived reticence to say this is a white person. Totally get that. I think Michael's 100% right. We've seen that with Dylan Roof. They bought the guy a hamburger, right? So I understand people's outrage. But law enforcement does often do this. They give a nebulous description close enough to what they think they have so that it kind of casts the net on people who are looking to see, okay, maybe this is a person who meets this description. So I don't think it's really that big a deal, in my personal opinion. But I do get people taking umbrage because light skin in particular has a particular connotation.
All right, Matt, I'm going to quote you now to Joy. Is this much ado about nothing, as Matt said? Joy?
This is much ado about absolutely nothing. I see where Mike's coming from, but, him and my dad make me concerned, but not trying to be funny. Much ado about nothing. He had a mask on at the beginning. They could only see a certain part of his face. He could have been a white, he could have been a light-skinned white person. This is what we've seen later on, right? So to me and actually I heard early on they were saying he was white. So I think this is much ado about nothing. Guys, we got bigger fish to fry, including on that last segment, there were a lot of half-truths that were shown by someone who was an advocate for the insurance company. We have to be careful who we put on. Just saying.
Henry Louis Gates says there are 42 million black people in America. Therefore, there are 42 million ways of being black.
We are not a monolithic people. We come in all different shades, sizes, everything.
For me, black excellence is the upgrade to any level of excellence.
It looks like a family who is beautiful and proud of being together, that have degrees or no degrees.
I like that it's creativity. I like that it's self-expression. I like that it's radical at times.
There we go.
And because we've been through so much and endured so much, and
we're gonna go through some things, but we don't stay in it, And
the intensive labor to educate you about the systems your ancestors built is not always my obligation.
I promise you, you will love it, comrades. Join the community.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on StartEngine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
we wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot
tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.